Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jordan Davis Podcast. I am your host, Jordan Davis, and on today's episode, we got a whole ton of Star Wars news to talk about, and to talk about those spoiler leaks that have been making the Star Wars fans going crazy. Are they real? Are they fake? What in the world is going on here? So, I think we're going to go right into the episode talking about Star Wars on this Labor Day. So, if you didn't hear last week, there was a couple of flooding plot leak from Making Star Wars and a Reddit leaker called Jedi Praxis. Now, the Making Star Wars rumor and article that went out about how how the beginning of the film goes and how we get to the Rey and Kylo fight on the Death Star ruin that we saw in the D23 special look. So I made sure to really look at them and really understand what these supposed leaks are trying to tell me. And I'll start with the Making Star Wars one because that seems more of a accurate kind of source. Now, I'm not trying to say Jedi Praxis is not accurate, and he has given us some accurate thing that he's told us that came out to be true. So, but I'll deal with that later because he has such a bigger spoilers in his article on Reddit. So, with Making Star Wars, it talked about the beginning of the film, how Leia will be training Rey at the start of the film in a kind of forest area where you see her throwing the lightsaber and cutting down trees. From Making Star Wars sources, they have learned that that's the beginning of the movie. So I kind of figured, at least I always thought that would be the start of the beginning of the movie because J.J. Abrams said at Star Wars Celebration this year that Rey in that jungle forest is the start of the film. Now, where is that? What part of the beginning? I don't know. I really don't. But all we know is it's in the beginning. And I think that's a pretty good assumption that this will be starting the movie about maybe 5-10 minutes in. So and also he talked about was the some Sith dagger that they're trying to find and translate to know more about. And this Sith dagger leads her to the vision, as we saw in the D23 look of Dark Ray. Now, with the whole Dark Ray thing, a part of me believes it will be a vision, and it probably will be. But with my thing, I don't need Ray to find us out into another dark cave. We did that already. She went into a dark cave in The Last Jedi. We don't need to see her go into another cave. It's kind of repeating their steps. We really didn't need to do that. If you wanted to do that so bad, you should have did it in The Last Jedi. Personally, it makes more sense to me if Ben could see Dark Rey and her turning to the dark side would not be good. Or maybe it's when he meets this rumored oracle and he talks to his oracle, he sees Rey in that vision. But so she finds this Sith dagger, she has this vision, but it's interrupted by Kylo and their force bond. And they've been trying to find, at least he has been trying to find her, trying to really be desperate. That's what in the article's words says, desperate to find her. And so take that as you will, because there's so many ways that their relationship can go. I personally believe it's gonna be full of passion, full of anger, full of love, full of intensity that their relationship is gonna be. For me, I don't think their relationship is gonna be platonic. They've gone past that. The Last Jedi kind of confirmed that we're gonna see a lot of romance between them. I don't know how much, but I think we should be expecting a lot because in this article, he's been desperate trying to find her, trying to really get in contact with her so he can tell her some things. Maybe it's just an apology, I don't know. Maybe that's where the stuff comes in where Daisy Ridley said, is an apology enough for his redemption? and obviously he's gonna be needing to do actions instead of words. His actions will have to show Rey. So so back to the whole, you know, Rey and Kylo first conversation since The Last Jedi. Then Kylo really tells her, I was not lying. I told you the truth. I told you what I saw. He's practically saying, I did not lie to you. And that makes sense. I never thought Kylo was lying to Rey. But it seems in this report that Kylo got more information on Rey's parents through a vision, or maybe it was the vision he had in The Last Jedi. It was just didn't get to tell her all of it. Now, it also says that Rey sees his vision that he had in seeing that this Sith dagger killed her parents. And she gets full of hate and full of anger, full of hatred. And that's how the start happens. How does the fight happen between them? And the whole rain fight and the waves surrounding them, that's how it really starts. So, personally, for me, if this is what we got in the movie, if that's how we got the fight that we got and that's how it started, in your conversation at the start being very Reylo-ish, very emotional and uh, angsty and everything that's involved with Reylo, I think that would be a good start. Now, for me, how that fight's gonna end, I personally believe Kylo, in some way or form, should win that fight because it just doesn't make sense to me if Rey is going to beat him again. It doesn't make sense at all because it contradicts the Last Jedi. If Rey beats him again, it's like if Rey could beat Kylo Ren, why couldn't she take on like three at once? That Kylo Ren beat those red guards in the Last Jedi. He faced three people at once. So I guess you can make the argument that her hatred really overpowered, but I can't really get behind that. Now I understand in The Force Awakens why she won. Because he was injured and he was really running on fumes. And even then he almost defeated her. But for him to be healthy, for him to be full strength, it just doesn't make sense to me that Kylo Ren lose again, or you can say Bensolo lose again to Rey because of her hatred. I believe her hatred and her aggression would be her downfall between the fight because he is calm, cool, and collected. You even watch the footage and how he's fighting for a brief moment that we see. He is fighting patiently. He is fighting control, but Rey is just throwing the lightsaber at him with just aggression and just anger and hate. And I just believe that that kind of battle, Kylo Ren would win that fight in some way or form. And I'm very intrigued how this fight is going to end. But for my mind, they're really going to have to sell me on the third act and the relationship between the two if Rey beats him again. So I think that's just my point of view of that part of the league. I think it's very interesting with the whole Sith dagger and how it's all gonna play into the first confrontation between Rey and Ben after a year, and how he wants to get in contact with her, and he's trying to really apologize and pretty much wants her back. And so I think that's just my concern is I hope it's not too antagonistic. I hope it's not like bad Kylo Ren is fighting the good Rey. I hope it's not that cookie cutter. I hope they go on their emotions. I hope they go on the feelings that they have for each other and really just dive in and be like a parallel to what Anakin and Obi-Wan fight was, but it ends a little bit differently because you already have the intensity of the battle, of the lightsaber battle. So that's going to be intriguing because I've always said if you're going to do this, you have to put the romantic undertone into it. If if there is no emotion, if there's nothing connecting us to that fight, we are not going to be interested. So the romantic underlining and the emotions that they have for each other, it has to be there. It has to be there for us to care because we care for these two characters, we care for their relationship, and we certainly care how this relationship will end up. So I am very curious to see how this all goes down and everything. So I think that's what I have to say about the Making Star Wars leak. Now, the huge leak, the big plot leak from Jedi Praxis on Reddit. Now, with all these spoilers, with all these leaks, take everything with a grain of salt. They could be true, they could not be true. Because there was tons of leaks from The Last Jedi that didn't even get half of the movie right. So I would just be very cautious of what you believe and not believe. Because I looked at this plot leak. I think I have two problems with it that okay, I would actually say three problems with it, and one would be there seems a lot missing from this plot leak. It feels very incomplete. It feels like there's tons of missing elements and character moments and character reasons why they do certain things. And if you look at that plot, which you might have seen already, because last time I checked, over like 1,000 people commented on that leak. So, like I said, the first problem I had with it, it's very indecisive. It doesn't really have any connection to anything. And for what we've been hearing, it really doesn't have that kind of support. And two, I think there's a lot of steps back that the characters do. I think especially Kylo Ren or Bensolo. And one of the things that really kept me worried about this leak, if it's true or not, that it says in the leak that he finds Palpatine and he takes the orders of Palpatine. And for me, that doesn't make sense because why would he follow Palpatine? That doesn't make sense. He said in The Last Jedi, he wants to destroy the Sith, and you can't get more Sith than Palpatine. He is the master of Sith, and even since Palpatine is on the verge of dying, I think even if Palpatine does come to Kylo, I think he's gonna manipulate him. Just like he manipulate Darth Vader slash Anakin so many times. So I don't agree that he should be his lackey, like just like Darth Vader was. He's not doing Palpatine's bidding because I just wouldn't get. He's going from one lackey to another. He did not kill Snoke, so he can be controlled by another Palpatine-like character. It just doesn't make sense to me. You were going through all that work, all that character development, and at the end of the day, he's under the thumb of Palpatine, and that just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense that Kylo would do or take orders from Palpatine, and with the whole Rey and Ben relationship in this league sound very black and white. We did not get the emotion and great character development even more supposedly in this league. Because what I'm hearing is from J.J. Abrams, he's taking risks. He is doing things that he wouldn't normally do. But if this league is true, he is pretty much copying The Force Awakens and The Return of the Jedi. And I'm gonna get to number three of why this leak really concerned me is this they did Ben Solo's arc dirty. They really did. If this is true, if this information is true, it does come out to be true, and he is a one no redemption and doesn't come back, Ben Solo's arc would have been for nothing. Also, I like to point out that it says in the leak that Luke and Leia fight Palpatine as Force Ghosts. I think that's ridiculous because it says in the trailer, "This is your fight. We told you all we know," and they're gonna fight her and Ben's own fight. That doesn't make any sense, not one bit. Because why would you tell us, "Oh, this is gonna be your fight," but at the end of it all, I'm gonna fight your own fight for you. So yeah, I don't like that. Now getting back to the whole Ben's arc in the supposed leak, to me, to have the last Skywalker die, that is not a happy ending. That is not hopeful. You don't put the name Skywalker in your own movie, but you have the last Skywalker die. It could, it makes incomplete sense to me that you would do that. If this is true, I personally, I'm just gonna wait till the movie comes out because there's gonna be so many leaks, and I think we're really gonna get really confirmation on things when we see a full story trailer come out in October, probably in a month. I truly think that's when we're really gonna settle things and what we can expect from this movie. What can we expect for Ben and Rey? Because I truly believe that Rey and Ben will have a satisfying end. However that may be. I truly believe I'm standing firm on this until until it happens. Ben will be redeemed and he will live. I truly believe in that. He will live and he will be redeemed somehow. If that's going all Beauty and the Beast, him dying then coming back to life, it could be many things. Many things it can be. But for Ben to not be redeemed, it would be pointless. To set him up this far and for him just to be like Vader. He's not Vader. I will keep saying that he's not Vader. And you people, yeah, he's not Vader. But when I say he's not Vader, I mean that in a good way. I mean that in you can do more with Ben. He deserves more of a redemption because Vader did a lot worse things than Ben ever did. Okay, yeah, in the beginning of The Force Awakens, he really like torched a whole village. But that's like preschool compared to what Vader did. And Ben is more conflicted. And this is how I compare Vader and Ben. Ben is a lot more conflicted because he is trying to be someone that he's not. All the times we saw Vader, that was Vader. And it wasn't until he saw his son and what his son did to him to really get that humanity back, to really get that redemption. One last good act so he can be redeemed. But I personally believe there's going to be a lot of great Ben Solo moments. There's going to be some moments that we're just going to be cheering for him and that he's going to be redeemed, he's going to live and be the last Skywalker to end the saga. And he will bring balance to the Force with Rey. Because we know what happens when one person tries to keep the balance. It does not work. You need two people to keep that balance. One light and one dark. Rey keeps Ben balanced, and Ben keeps Rey balanced. So they help each other. And that's just a terrific way to end the story. Not in tragedy, not in bittersweetness. We're ending this movie in a straight up fairy tale fashion, full of hope and happiness. That's how you should end it. Not in death. Not one of the greatest characters is going to end in death in Star Wars. So I think what we can all sit back and relax. I want to give these leaks any merit, and I just think wait until to see the movie because everything that they are telling us, it's going to be hopeful, it's going to be satisfying. Ben and Rey's relationship will be satisfying, and this whole saga will end on a satisfying note that we're going to come out of that theater and we're going to be happy. Ben fans are going to be happy. Rey fans are going to be happy. Finn, Poe fans are going to be happy. And that's what truly I believe. Because personally for me, if we can get Ben Solo redemption and have him live, that's giving out a great message. It really is about Star Wars. Yeah, you make your mistakes. Yeah, you might not have any good guidance, but you can still have that second chance. You can make up your wrong. You can earn that redemption. I think that's what Ben is going to do. He's going to earn it. He, you can't deserve redemption. That's not how redemption works. You have to earn it by your actions, not just by your words, but by your actions. And I think this is how it's going to go down. And we just have to wait and see. And hopefully everything turns out pretty good in all of our favors. So I think that's going to be for the podcast for this week. And but before we go, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think. Leave a comment. What do you think about these leaks? What do you think about what they say and what they might give us or may not give us? So just write in the comments. I want to hear your feedback. So I want to thank you for listening to the Jordan Davis podcast. So I hope you have a wonderful and awesome week.